We promise here in a matter of about 25 seconds. We have a panel of pros in the house. S. Lisa Herndon in the house, fresh off her Charlottesville Area Association of Realtors presidency. Matthew Woodson, fresh off the golf course. Brother from another mother, just got back from Pinehurst over there. If you're a golf aficionado and you have an opportunity to play Pinehurst, that's like, I'd say one of the top 10 courses you could possibly play in the country.
Just the whole area.
I mean, right? The whole.
You could work on the course, I guarantee you.
Well, I wish it was Pinehurst is a lot to play. You played a lot.
You played, but
it's
you didn't
like
play
Mecca.
Pinehurst.
It's Mecca. You know,
Yeah.
This is I think our 20th year. Some guys from high school
That's
and
big time.
stuff, and there's 12 of us. Had a great time. Glad to be back though.
One of Green Hill's finest is in the house, and Matthew Woodson. Keith Smith, of course, is here. Judah Wickower, the man with the patience of Job,
Oh my God.
running the program and managing people, and
Trying to get us going this morning.
13 years he's worked here. We appreciate him. I think this program is going to be absolutely scintillating today on a Monday. Judah, we are in your hands, and we can rock and roll when you're ready.
Now, that's what happened.
Good Monday morning, guys. My name is Jerry Miller, and this is Real Talk with Keith Smith. Thank you kindly for joining us on the I Love Seville Network in our building, the Macklin Building on Market Street in downtown Charlottesville. Today's program is absolutely dynamic. You, the viewer and listener, can shape the discussion by asking questions, leaving comments, and sharing perspective on any of the feeds or social channels you're watching the show upon. We're very grateful for your viewership and your listenership. We give props to Keith and Yona and Yes Realty Partners, trusted advisors in the game. And this ever-changing real estate market, we very much encourage you to trust professionals with experience that have been doing this for a significant period of time. Judah Wickower is the director of this fine and fair talk show. My friend, Judah, who's got the patience of Job. If you can go to the studio camera and let's welcome the panel of pros. Keith, another fantastic assembly here.
Thank you, Jerry. Thank you, everybody, for watching and listening. As Jerry said, this show is dynamic, so drop some case studies in the feed. Drop something in the feed. You got any questions for the pros here? I like to call this Lessons from Legends. So we've got a couple of legends sitting at the table. Maybe I'm a legend in my own mind, but these folks are real legends on it. So we're going to give them a moment to introduce themselves. We're going to start with S. Lisa for ladies first. Introduce yourself real quick to the world, S. Lisa, and then we'll move over to Matthew.
Well, hello, world. I am S. Lisa Herndon, current president of CAR, the Charlottesville Area Association of Realtors. My term ends in 2014, and then it will move on to Ann Burroughs, who is currently president-elect. And I am happy to be here again for the second time.
Yeah, we're going to be talking Greene County. You guys are native Greene County. What is it? Greene Countyites? What's the proper term?
Greene Countyans. Greene Countyans.
Look at that, huh? So Matthew, tell the world who you are.
I'm Matthew Woodson.
And you play a lot of golf.
We're with Nest Realty. We have an office in Ruckersville. Anyway, been home since the beginning of time and have stayed active in the community and really just like to talk about Greene County and direction and that stuff. Now, I would like to say S. Lisa, as I always knew her as Lisa, as we grew up together.
I don't know him.
High school.
You don't know.
So it's interesting. Yeah, we
William
grew up-
Monroe graduates?
Yes.
Yes.
Fantastic. Green Dragons?
I
Same
was-
year, right?
I believe I may have just been an 8th grader or something, 9th grader. But I'm only 30. How
Well,
old are you?
I did not. You never asked a woman her age. Are you crazy? Of course
Matthew,
not.
what the heck's wrong with you?
Well, I was just opening. I was going to let her lie. So we're gonna,
Oh, well, okay, let's move on, folks. So we're here to talk about Greene County today, and I'm excited about it, getting the perspective of housing and the real estate market from locals, right? From folks that were born there, raised there, do business there on it. So, we're just going to really kind of take a deep dive into this. poor Judah, God bless him, has got inundated with a bunch of slides from me early this morning. So Judah, thank you for being patient. But we're going to start off with slide number 1. So real quick overview. You know, prices have been climbing in Greene County.
Everywhere.
Yeah, but and specifically in Greene County, but just between 2019 and today, we're 44% higher than we were in 2019. So 2023 is 44%. We're at 372,000. 2019, which is pre-COVID, was 258. That's 144K higher than it was in 2019. So you guys are at 372 on single-family detached, no new construction. Did you ever think you were going to get there to this number in Greene County? Jump in, guys.
That's Lisa Herndon. Show is yours.
It is definitely a high-price market right now. And quite honestly, it's just trending where every other county or city is trending. Quite honestly, we see growth everywhere. Prices are not coming down. Prices are generally staying the way they are, and that is, of course, due to inventory. There is an inventory shortage throughout the counties, throughout the cities, throughout the entire nation. That is the biggest conversation that we as realtors are having with our clients.
Great answer right there. I think
we're going to take a deep dive into inventory and a project in Greene County, but Matthew, chime in, brother.
I mean, just to echo some of the things Lisa just said, you know, we've seen this everywhere. I do more in Greene than say, Fluvanna or Louisa, but certainly watching the numbers, we're not insulated to what's happened everywhere. And, you know, in looking at some of the inventory numbers, and I know you have some slides here, but, you know, 30 may actually be, I see on your slide here, it says we have 30. That may be actually giving us a few, because some of those things that you pull up are even properties that are in our MLS as being shown properties for sale, but they may be for business use because they've not been zoned or whatever. So really for the last 8 months, week over week, we have shown somewhere between 24 and 30 homes on the market that would range anywhere from, let's just face it, the low of now maybe 250 at the lowest, up to, you know, above $1 million. And when you're looking at 25 homes in a small community, outside of you know, jobs, people wanting to move here, government infiltration from NGIC, we just don't have the housing that we need to keep up. And that being the case, when there's not anything out there, I can't wait 20 years for some studies on supply and demand to see, you know, what that does. We don't ever seem to know until later, right?
Well, that's kind of the nature
it's the way
of
it is, right? We don't know we're in a recession until 8 months after you're past it.
So slide number 8, if you don't mind, Judah. So currently in Greene County right now, single-family detached, no new construction. There's 33 homes available. That's as of this morning at 6 o'clock. There's 30 pending. So basically, as soon as something's coming off, it's something going on.
That's correct.
It's coming off. Have you guys ever seen inventory this low? I mean, the number may have been lower.
When did you become
I
an
came
agent?
in 2011.
Okay.
So I just missed the Great Recession.
Yeah, I didn't.
But I
miss it.
still felt
I
it.
got to-
I still felt it.
I got to
Still
live
felt
through
it. Yeah.
Yeah, that was in 08. You know, it is. I talk about this with folks just in general for years of watching this data. You know, and our common number of active homes on the market, not in these numbers, but maybe more back to what you saw in 2016 or before, was 60 to 75 homes in the spring market. During the downturn in 2009, we actually got up into the 120 homes on the market range. So, I mean, 15 years makes a huge difference in direction, how fast your community's growing. It's not things that you can always turn on and off,
Right.
per se. The markets dictate it. We try to direct it, but anyway, don't want to hog it.
No, this is a talk show. We're supposed
Sure.
to talk,
Okay.
so that's how this works. So, new construction, by the way, the volume is a little low, but you guys, and that's slide number 5, Judah. you're at $433,000 for a single-family detached versus the $372, which is existing. So that's a 16% difference between new construction and roughly $61,000. Are you guys seeing folks going to new construction now out in Greene County because they can't find existing homes? Is that starting to percolate a little bit?
You know, you really it really depends. It really does. It depends on who's in the market looking and what their needs are. I'm currently working with clients looking at new construction in Greene, and it's not a lot of choice. It's not a lot of choice. But then I'm also having the ones who can't afford the new construction because they're coming in at a higher price.
Sure.
But it depends on what you're looking for, quite honestly. What are you finding, Matthew?
Yeah, I mean, it's mostly existing. I was looking through your sheets. Let me find the one that was the most.
If you see something wrong, jump
No,
out.
no. It
You
was
guys are the
absolutely
experts.
right. It was just to talk about our point in
Would you
new
mind telling me none of
construction
that?
only, and you will see in 2000 go back to 2016, we had 28 new construction.
That's what I wanted to ask you about that.
2017 was 30. 2018 is 17. That is new construction homes, and that was mostly one-offs. That would have been in the rural community mostly, and A1 where there was probably open
By right
lots,
kind of
by
thing.
right,
Yeah.
you know, cut off 2 acres, 10 acres, whatever you want. That was what we saw really coming out of the downturn in 2008, 9.
The Great Recession.
And it took years. 2019 and 2020, you will see a huge jump in 63 homes over year to year from 2018, and then 47 in the next year. That is almost single-handedly one development behind
Yeah,
sheets
yeah.
Which would be?
oh gosh,
What is
it
it?
just went right out of my head.
Yeah.
Oxford Hills.
Oxford Hills.
I
yeah.
wanted to say
Yeah,
Oak
I know
Park.
it had an
Oxford
O in
Hills.
it.
You know, it was already on the books.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and it was at a moment in time where there was nothing, and someone decided to develop it. And because there was nothing, quite frankly, in my years of discussing with developers and builders, you know, there was a good 7 or 8 years where no one was looking to do anything, not trying to develop anything. There was just such a slow market that you know, we're now reaping what happened, you know, over that 8 years of no construction.
Oh,
Boom!
yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's all of a sudden we have existing zoned properties. We actually have existing properties that have been zoned and laid out. Maybe they don't have the actual plans to build, but we know what's going to be there. We just don't know if it's going to be a year from now or.
Has the appetite for development in Greene started to?
You know,
How would you
it's
characterize it
emotional.
now?
I listen. You know, it's one
Just
of those
got a
things.
water-
I'll answer that question.
Non-political?
Okay.
You had a water mandate
we can
lifted
talk
within
about-
the
we can
last
talk
36
politics.
Oh
hours.
well, I'm going to try to stay.
Yeah,
there.
it did lift on the 14th, was it? The
Right.
14th, yeah. The
It
water
seems
mandate.
like that appetite for development is starting to slow. Is that fair?
I think that's true almost in all areas, quite honestly. I think developers, builders are being a little cautious. They see some buyers leaving the market because the homes are not as affordable. This is a pretty high price range for Greene. It really is. And it is slowing some. We've seen a little decrease in it, but probably around about a 1% decrease, but not a lot. And that's taking some buyers out of the market. They can't afford it. Think about inflation, think about interest rates, hovering around just under 7%. So all of that comes into question about
Or
who's out there
or
buying.
double your payment
Yeah.
from 2 years ago.
Exactly.
If we're talking
Some
in
buyers
terms
no
people can-
longer qualify.
Well, that's
Who qualified
that. But I'm going to
6
push
months
back
ago.
this, Lisa, a little
Yes.
bit because
Push back.
I'm in the world of developers and builders and all that stuff. They want to build, they can't. And so if you take a look at slide number 9, so what that is that's a national statistics from the census, which talks about new construction, and we refer to it, and we coined, Neil Williamson coined. the
Neil
term.
Williamson's watching. He's given S. Lisa Herndon props, and he's slinging some content about the Firefly and Harley Davidson and Wawa projects
There you go.
on the horizon over there.
Right.
Content slinger Neil Williamson.
And
Free Enterprise Forum.
Neil didn't
Right.
throw anything towards me?
He
No.
did. He gave you some props.
he did.
He said keep it in the
Good
short
morning.
grass,
Good
Matthew.
morning,
Keep it in the
Neil.
short grass.
Yeah, so they want to, but they can't, right? And if you take a look at this graph, and depending on who you talk to, Dr. Yoon, Dr. Steravent, whoever, we're somewhere between 5 to 6 million units short nationwide. If you take a look at that red year, we call it the time of great unpleasantness in my house. And that was coined by Mr. Williamson. We refer to it as the time of great unpleasantness. We have a plaque. This is the time of great unpleasantness.
Okay.
That's what happens when you lose everything you have during that process. But we've finally just got nationwide up to the average that we've been building, and I'm telling you, that's going to drop back off.
I believe so too.
And that's going to drop back off because you can't get projects approved. So the stuff that we're building now, we're stuff that takes 3 to 5 to 6 years in the pipeline just through
We'll see it later,
rezoning site
yeah.
plan. I tell the story all the time. The first development I built was 150 lots at Lake Monticello. It's called The Acres, Central Water and Sewer, curb and gutter, VDOT roads. By the time I put it under contract, got it rezoned, got site plan approved, and put a bulldozer on the job site, it took me 6 months. It is now 6 years. And so this ramp up where we're eating through this inventory, and S. Lisa, what I think the builders are doing now is they're backing off because they don't have inventory, lot inventory.
But
But
that will
also,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
it also is more, the builders are also feeling the pain from the interest rates as well.
Depends on who the builder is, right?
So they have, it's costing them more to build homes as well. That's also a part of that conversation for builders as well.
It's part of the conversation, and I've got my trusty 3-year-old scale here to
I mean,
talk
he
a
literally
little-
has a
to talk about
3-year-old
It's
scale.
for 3-year-olds and up. I'm qualified to use this. Thank you very
Okay.
much. But the reality of it is, and at some point we'd love to talk about this project on how it didn't move forward as a PUD, but it's moving forward as a by right, which is not beneficial to your county, unfortunately. But in any event, if we do not figure out a way to get more new construction built, the builders are going to start dropping off, right? The units, so this pivot over to that, and it's only going to make the inventory that much harder. Other than building, guys, you're the pros. What can be done to change this inventory crunch that we're in at the moment?
Well, I don't have my crystal ball with me.
I've got
I
it right
left
here if you
that
We
at
have
home.
He actually has crystal ball.
I literally got crystal ball. I literally did.
I just have to go with the flow with him over there.
But of course, I mean, it's the same conversation. Let's lower interest rates, right? Let's lower interest rates, put some buyers who walked out of the buying pool and put them back in there. And let's encourage
So you think
sellers.
it's interest rates?
Interest rates and encouraging sellers to put their homes on the markets. Okay, if I sell my home, now I'm in the same position as the buyers were. So I'm just as vulnerable. And give me a good reason why I need to put my home on the market right now.
Yeah.
Give me a good reason. Because I'm locked into that great
2.75%
interest rate.
for me.
Yeah,
Why would I do it?
Why would I do it?
Yeah.
Unless you have
Besides, unless you have to, divorce, death, or downsizing, you need to because of health reasons. Those are some of the reasons. Or jobs, you're relocating, right?
So
I think she's 1,000% right.
100% right. But it's, go ahead.
I want to throw in is going through COVID though at the same time, even though rates were 2.5%, 2.75%, 3%.
It was a frenzy.
It was a frenzy, and it wasn't even if you were getting a 3%, didn't mean you were going to get the house because there were 6
Oh,
other contracts,
absolutely.
4 of them
Oh,
cash.
yeah.
So
and I will
we
talk about
multiple
my
offers,
ignorance in
yeah.
a bit. I've never realized maybe just how much cash was sitting on the sidelines.
Cash is king.
That was that during COVID. It was, it felt like that. I'm going to say a number, but 60, 70% of everything were cash deals.
Yeah.
That is not most of our buyers.
It is not, and we'll
Exactly,
take a look
exactly.
at how many in the last year were cash buyers. And
Sure.
Jerry can quote the Zillow.
The Zillow survey said rates need to go between 5 and 5.5%. For those of us that are on the sidelines with all the equity we have in our homes, but the golden handcuffs of sub 4% rate, 80% of American homeowners have an interest rate below 4% right now.
Yeah.
So for those of us that have, and it sounds like it's all of us here at this table, have an interest rate below 4%, Zillow's survey has said that it has to drop between 5 and 5% for us to put our homes on the market. I agree with her that if it gets to the 5 to 5% range, my wife and I have a serious conversation. Let's list our house, let's capitalize on this equity, and let's consider what we can use with this equity to
That's
buy
right.
something else.
Yeah.
But why would I do this right now? I mean, I just looked at the 30-year fixed. The 30-year fixed FHA, 7.624. 30-year fixed VA, 7.635. 30-year fixed jumbo, 8 and change. Why would we touch that?
And what I'm just going to throw it on the table. What I'm worried about is when it happens, because now we're going to go back.
Well, that's what Woodson said.
We're
It's
Friends
going to
Act.
flood. It's
It's gonna
going to be flooded.
So what does it look like to you two guys? I think 6% it starts. I think if it
I
starts
think so.
getting going.
Hey, I
to
can remember getting my
6%.
first.
Yeah.
My first one was
I
6
am
and an
not my
8.
dad, who would love to talk about 18%, but
Hold on.
I got my first loan in 2001 at 6.
Okay, I'm out of here.
It was 6 and 5/8.
I definitely know people who got in at
And-
21%, and they're like, you're being crybabies talking about this interest rate right now.
My first one was 6 and an 8, and I was happy to get it.
6 and 5/8 and thought I'd died and gone ahead.
Right.
I mean,
It's
6
that
and 9. Someone gave you a loan?
psychological,
Yeah.
you
Let's do
know,
one at a time, folks.
it's that psychological trigger
That's
where
right.
people have to get used to this new interest rates. It's not going to come down anytime soon.
And they still have to be able to
We-
afford it.
But
Of
it's-
course, but they will start to jump into it when they feel like, okay, this is the new normal, right?
100%.
This is the new normal. And when you get around the 6%, I think we will see some increase in people in the market.
I think the other part is, though, is the consumer side, right? We're sitting here talking about what we have to go to meetings for. And on the consumer side, I mean, if I had a nickel for every time someone said, I'm not going to do it right now, I'm going to wait for the prices to come down. Well,
The prices.
How much money have they lost?
it's not
There you
that right
go.
now.
Yeah.
There you
They're
go.
losing- It's
Right.
exactly right.
Because they're just locking in another year of lease. The lease is going to go up, depending on the landlord, anywhere from 4 to 10%, and they just get in this vicious cycle
And if you
of
think it's
renewing
hard to
and
find
renewing
a
and
new
renewing.
home
Right.
to buy, try to find a rental home. And
But even more so, that's where the experts come in. That's where the realtors come in, where you need to work
need
with
a
a
trusted
professional.
advisor.
You 100% need to speak regularly with your lender and your agent to make sure you're making the right decision. Waiting might not be the right decision.
Well, it depends on everybody's personal
Absolutely.
fiscal
Of
situation.
course,
So I
that's-
asked Judah to put a rent, medium asking rent since 1988 to now it's slide number 13. It's red and it's ugly, and all you
Can
have to do is take a
imagine.
look at it, and it just climbs up. So rent will keep on climbing up.
Oh, yeah.
So when you have a conversation with somebody, I'm waiting until,
it's
I would rather have somebody say I'm waiting for the interest rates to drop than I'm waiting
Absolutely.
for prices to drop.
because it's not
Right.
going to happen. Not with 26 homes on the market.
No,
But-
and
In our-
if they were going to drop, this would be an ideal time for it, when buyers are stepping away. But because of the inventory factor that's in it, it's causing those prices to remain strong. You may see some dips in some areas, but overall, we're still in a very strong real estate market.
Oh, I think this real estate market is fantastically strong.
Well, and-
I have 100%, 1,000% agree with S. Lisa Herndon. And then what's going to happen, I keep emphasizing this. I was shocked when the mayor didn't know this. He's my friend, but he didn't know this. Paul Manning Biotech Institute, 2,000 to 3,000 new people coming in with
Yeah.
six-figure jobs. Data Science School, 2,000 to 3,000 new people with six-figure jobs. Incremental people, new to the area. Louisa, Amazon, $11 billion. They're talking 400 to 600 people, six-figure jobs. Where are these people
Where are
going
they
to
gonna
live?
go? Yeah.
What are they going to do? Where are they going to seriously? Where are they going to live? Where is 6,000 to 8,000 new people going to live?
That's a lot of times how gentrification starts.
100%, 100%, because they're going to have the money.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
two
When they
things
come
are going to
here.
happen. And this is, it was interesting. I've been reflecting on the planning commission meeting that the city did for the rezoning. And it was interesting. It was great to see a bunch of young people get up and speak. But if you take a look at the for and against, I've been saying this on the show for a while publicly. I think money will split people apart, but there's going to be a generational split here, because I'm the boomer at the table, and I was at 18%, sir. So that tells you how long I've been at this.
You were right there with his dad.
I was right there with his dad.
I was 9. So, I'm sorry.
So in
He's
any
9 years
event,
old. Not his interest rate. 9 years old.
9 years
Yeah.
old.
that's this many, right?
That's
I
right.
got the toys. I can figure this out.
Yes.
So, but, and that was 100 and, Yona corrected me. I said 150. It was actually $125,000 purchase. Yona's always right. It was 120. So it was 18% at $125,000 purchase, and I can assure you we were not making the same amount of money as we are making now. But we refied it multiple times and did very well on the end of it. But look, somehow or another, we've got to get this inventory going, because what's going to happen is the boomers, and if you take a look at a lot of your cash buyers, they look like me. They're old. They got gray hair. And then the younger folks are trying to get a loan at 7%, and they can't.
Right,
because
while
they-
debating their student loan issues.
Which
That's
starts in
going to-
October.
That's right.
That's exactly
Yeah,
right. That's going to be a
yeah.
huge impact. So talk about that, Lisa.
Absolutely. It's going to have an impact, and actually, it takes some young buyers out of the market,
Yep.
because it's calculated when they're doing the
What you can afford.
loan. Yeah, the affordability factor in the loan. They calculate that in there. So
They take, I think we learned this from Scott Morris, they take 50% of it. So if you owe $1, it's 50% of it is basically shown as income, your DTI, your debt to income ratio, and it's usually impactful.
Average student loan payment is $200, $200 a month. This is not going to only impact millennials and Gen Zers looking to buy real estate. This is going to have an impact on the American economy.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's going to take $200 a month of spending power out of the economy and allocate it to student loan payments that were otherwise frozen for a long period of time.
So that,
I agree.
plus what I learned when I was at the CEO conference from Dr. Sturtevant, that 20% of our gross domestic product, is from our industry, from the housing industry.
Absolutely, yes.
So
You guys are rock stars.
Yeah.
well, we just, everything that we do in our ecosystem kind of touches everything, right?
Absolutely.
In it, from buying furniture,
To appliances.
our daughter who just moved from Seattle over here is going to visit us this afternoon with our young granddaughter, and apparently we're going out to buy furniture.
Okay.
So
Okay.
there you go. And I was told to watch the kid. So that's
Is she bringing a crystal ball?
No, I mean,
we
we
got-
got
Just-
some
No,
boys that are coming.
So she's 7 months. I'm afraid to do this because she's probably going to beat me. So I've got to practice a little bit more on that.
What you were speaking about is the domino effect.
Yeah.
Everything touches, and when one falls, it just impacts every single thing.
So I've been, and I'd love to have your guys' feedback on this thing. There's two things that I've been talking about, and whoever would listen to me. One is I think we're 5 to 10 years out, probably closer to 10 years before inventory rebalances itself. See how you guys feel about that. And then secondly, the neutral market historically, since 1880s when I was started the business, used to be about 6 to 7 months. I had a very long conversation with Dr. Lisa Sturtevant about this, and we both came down that neutral market is closer to 3 to 4 months. This is the amount of inventory absorption rate. Do you think that's permanently changed, guys?
In order to have a balanced market, a more balanced market, we always say 6 months or more to create a more balanced market. I heard you say this before, where you think it's more like 30 days now?
30 to 45 days.
30 to 45 days now?
And I'm being, somewhere between 3 to 4 months is like being very conservative. I think we're closer to 30 to 45 days. So when we start watching days on market, and this is something I'm tracking a lot lately.
DOM is starting to creep up.
It is, very
It
much
is,
so.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah.
I mean, we were in that crazy frenzy for years of if it was 3, 4 days, 5 days, people are like, what's the matter with this property here? It got scarlet lettered. I'm starting to see DOM uptick over 7 right now, and it's crazy to say over 7 is creeping up, but it's just
Yeah.
since the pandemic, we've been trained to think like
That's-
2, 3, 4, 5 is the norm.
That's
Right.
exactly right.
So if you don't mind, slide number 4, Judah. So 2016, the DOMs, these are median DOMs, right? These are not average, was 47 days. We're now at 7. But we've been at 6 for 21, 5 for 22, 7. And these are January 1 to today, year over year over year. But take a look at 2020. 2020 was in the middle of the pandemic, was the pandemic. We were at 31. But you were kind of balancing between 2017 and 20, somewhere around the 30-day mark, plus or minus. And I think once you start getting to that, that's when you're going to start seeing the market switch. That's a huge jump.
Well, it's two pieces to that, right? One, we have too many buyers in the market that need to buy, and now they're being closed out after not being able to do things for years coming out of 08, 9, 10. By the way, I know everyone, it seems like that was so long ago. For me, it feels like yesterday. But we fought through to what is, I get my point is I was going, I don't remember what a traditional market was, because I came in 05, 04, 05. It was one of those times where I used to jokingly say all you had to do was be able to draw breath to be able to sell homes. I mean,
Yeah.
It was crazy. And it was even worse in this new, I thought I would never see anything like that in my career again. And so it went from extremely hot to someone who had had his license for 3 years to just falling off the map. Extremely scary. New construction stopped. Homes in general just stopped. And so, 9, 10, 11, 12, and I would say maybe we got our sea legs in 13, where we started to see a little bit. But even looking at the data that we have here in Greene County going back to the 90s and or further, I don't know that it seems that far off from what we have done. We have hot spots and cold spots like in any market. I just can't say that I've been doing this for 50 years and can say, here's what's going to happen, because it's just so odd.
Well, I've been doing it for
everywhere we
37.
go. Yeah.
Well, actually 35, I lied. 35 years. And there are factors happening. Each market has its own flavor, right?
It is.
Right. But this is a unique one, right? We've never really had this 3%, which just basically, put people in boxes that they can't get out of, right? Because they can't afford. We are having, Yona and I are having conversations at kitchen table with people that have to sell, right? They're having a divorce, unfortunately, or there's a death and the house has to be sold,
Right.
or they have additional children and they can't stay in the home, and they're in tears because they can't buy. They can't move, and they feel strapped. And this 3% has become a bit of a weight around their shoulders. That they,
Albatross, if you
Thank you,
will.
Albatross. Thank you. Thank you for saving me, Jerry, as you usually do, because Smith will just babble and then Jerry pulls me back in, and that's that. But so tell me about that conversation at the kitchen table, because I'm looking for some advice. I'm trying to figure out what to talk to these folks
it's
about.
the same thing as with our buyers, and I tell them you're not going to win on both ends. If you've got to sell, you know that now you're in the pool with the other buyers.
Just sell high, buy high.
Yeah, that's it. Either you're going to
Sell low,
benefit
buy
by
low.
selling, but you're going to be impacted when you start to go out in that market and try to find something. And is this the right market for you? What do you absolutely need? Are you willing to now go to a fixer-upper, where in the beginning you were looking at new construction? So what are truly your needs versus your wants?
I think you hit
good
a point.
consultation.
As I talk to a lot of folks and clients about, it's not a house, it's a quality of life, and sometimes if you have, we've seen enormous amounts of equity, and sometimes with this, whether you believe it's real or not, it's real when you get out.
You're talking
Yeah,
paper,
when you
paper
sell
money.
it, yeah.
Paper money.
Yeah.
But if you get out and you're able to put that into a new home, even at a higher interest, let's say it gets back down to 5.5%, but you have all this equity, all of a sudden, maybe I add 5 years to what I have to pay out. But I put this equity forward, I have the same payment as I had before. However, my quality of life is I'm closer to my grandchildren.
Right.
Or I'm closer to work, or whatever that case may be. And I don't think that sometimes our clients, and it's our job to drill down and say, what is your real move? What is your reason for moving?
Right.
But that's what we are. We see a lot of government contractors on the north side just because of NGIC. I mean, I don't. The National Ground Intelligence Center,
Right, right.
that is not going to stop.
Particularly since with Albemarle County.
Especially
Yeah.
since Albemarle County has just purchased.
What do you
I don't
make of
know
the
where-
bears watching the program here? Kevin, I'd put you in the bear market. He's watching in Northern Virginia. He says there's got to be some kind of correction. He says this is not the norm. He says if we keep doing this, the entry level is going to be pushing $600,000 to $700,000. No one can afford that. You believe? Ask Lisa Herndon. Show is yours. Bear perspective here. What's your response to that?
I do. I do feel that there is going to be a drastic correction.
Really?
How it shows up, I don't know. I honestly don't know. But something
With
has got
values?
to break. Something has got to break. Because no one's going to be able to sustain these prices, get in a home, and go about their lives. Something has got to break. And historically, something always does break. Something is going to create. And
I
it
think-
may involve the government's input on this. It may involve that. The government may have to,
Let's pick
Lower-
let's pick that apart a little bit. I'll let
Okay.
you finish.
the government may have to step in and reduce these interest rates. Inflation is looking pretty good right now, right?
I think the rate that they're showing is overinflated. I think we actually have less than what the number they're showing, but that's
Okay, so maybe it's just trending.
Yeah.
And it really hasn't caught up quite yet. But I do think that something has to break in order. It's not sustainable. It's really not.
You want to jump in, Matthew?
You think values are going to
I don't-
plummet? You think
I
values will
don't
plummet?
disagree. I don't know. I do believe maybe, is there a correction? I don't know that there is a steep correction. I have always been more of the slow, not slow, the soft landing. And, and I think that every locality is going to be a little different. I mean, Greene County certainly can't be compared to Buckingham.
Absolutely.
No offense to Buckingham, it's just further, it's just a
Yeah,
completely
yeah.
different area. So it's, I think even talking to family sometimes is, we get in our own cocoons about this is the way we want it to be or the way it should be, and we don't look at the bigger, it's the same problems they have in Louisa. It's the same problems we have in Fluvanna. It's the same problems we have, and it's getting, whether it's new construction or whether it's getting existing stuff out there, it's going to take time. I don't see it as being a cliff per se. Certainly, I think there's going to have to be maybe some drop, but that's not going to happen as long as
Drop in terms of
inventory is
price?
at 26. It's not. It's interesting to think about people if we don't want people, we don't. We don't want people moving in. They all want to be here for the same reasons we're here.
But they're
Yeah,
moving in.
Fantastic.
But they're
place to
moving
be.
in,
The
right?
Charlottesville
To Jerry's-
area, whether it's Greene County, whether it's Louisa, just the history and the beauty and people want to be here. Jobs.
We're victims of our own success.
This air,
People
Yes.
do want to
Yes.
move here, 100%.
I mean, we could be the invert, right? You could be up and pick
Danville.
you could be where people just want to leave because there's no opportunity. I'm not saying it, Danville. I was going
Danville's
to
making a
I was going to pick
Well,
another
Danville
state,
has the
by the way.
Caesars.
Yeah, yeah.
The Caesars
Dan-
casinos
Danville-
are making a
casino
comeback.
is
Danville
coming there, yeah.
is going to be a rock star
It
of
all
a
takes
location.
time. It all takes time. I don't think that there will be a drastic change in price, but will we start to see prices come down? Absolutely, and that's
Yeah.
because of buyer demand.
So-
Buyer demand is so pent up that we've already seen how
But
they've
if
stepped
inventory
out of the
doesn't
market.
grow,
If inventory doesn't grow and rates come down, we're back in 2020.
People were expecting, because buyers were out of the market, that prices were going to drop. They are not dropping, and that key part of that is because of inventory.
so words matter, right? So I look at this as a deceleration of price, not a depreciation of
Yes.
price, right? So we're not going to raise at the double digit, because I think by the end of this year, Jerry, I think is going to be spot on. I think we're going to see substantial, like somewhere between 11 to 15% overall increase in value. We're looking at it right now.
Year over year.
We're looking at it year over year right now at, I got to look at my notes, I think I said 19%, but whatever.
Albemarle County car report.
Was 11.
Q2,
Oh, absolutely.
Q2, year over year, 11% increase in value.
Yes. that's
11%.
right. Mhm.
I study your report inside and
Yep.
out. I print it out. I read it closely. I love the report.
So,
I speak on the report, absolutely.
so
Yep.
by the way, I just took a look at what has sold in Greene County year to date, single family detached, no new construction. Out of 134, 33 were cash. 50 were conventional, 27 to VA, and I think you guys usually win on the VA
Because
side.
of-
Yes,
Yes.
it's a
on
high,
it
yeah.
because of that.
Yeah.
But look, so the market, I'm not an educated man, I don't have a degree, but I do have a little bit of street smarts, right?
Let's
So-
put it to work.
Been there,
So math doesn't lie, right?
The
We have
numbers are the
60 million,
Math can be manipulated.
Statistics all the time.
Yeah.
But we're going to give you the
Yeah.
benefit of the
Go
doubt.
ahead, Keith. Sorry, I
because I'm
apologize.
old, right? That's
Statistics
Thank you,
can be
Ashley.
manipulated.
At 100%.
You're welcome here anytime to feed good stuff my way. So we have 60 million boomers in our country. And what are we doing every year? Dying. So that number's decreasing. We have 170 million Gen Z and millennials, excuse me. And they're all coming into their buying
At the same
age
time.
At the same
at
time.
a rapid rate.
Yes.
We're getting smaller, they're getting bigger, and that's why I keep on going back to this is going to be a generational problem, right? Not a money problem. This is going to be a generational problem because they're going to be getting these six-figure jobs and don't have any place to go, and they're going to start pushing the people at the entry level that are really trying to get in out. And
Yeah, that's what I was saying, gentrification.
it's
Yeah.
and unfortunately, your county turned down a PUD that would have provided housing affordability for some of your residents, and that's not going to happen now. And it's all going to be new construction at $450,000, and I think you and I would agree that's not entry level.
No, it's not.
Well,
Not
it's,
for a lot of people.
apparently
not
it's
for a lot of
median
people.
price for Greene County
Yeah.
though. I mean, so
It's
let's
median new
talk
construction.
about it. It's still median.
372.
I'm sorry, for new construction.
For new
I'm sorry, for new
construction, it's a
you're right.
little lower
Looking
than
at
that
for existing.
Why don't I?
16%.
I'll be for the sake of a talk show, I'll be the guy that pushes back against the development. I understand we need inventory, and I understand we need housing. I'll push back on development. Just had a Greene County water mandate lifted. We had some infrastructure issues clearly when it came to the water. Charlottesville and Albemarle County can't get the kids to school in home on time on buses. Not enough teachers.
True.
Traffic congestion everywhere. Schools are overcrowded. They need to build new schools. Is the infrastructure there to support development?
That's what the scale's
That
for.
is
But you guys go.
100% part of the conversation.
It should be, right?
100% a part of the conversation. Yep. And are people willing to pay for it?
And are people willing to pay for it? Now, the excellent point. I'll say this, for those of us that are asking, is infrastructure there to support the development and pushing back on the development, we do have to understand it's going to be taxes on our homes and our personal property that's going to keep these jurisdictions afloat. So we are going to have to take more money out of pocket if we don't want the development to happen. We have to just take that and understand that. But, you know, I'm
It's a quality of life, right?
quality of life.
Their
I got a
quality of life.
5-year-old and a 10-month-old.
Absolutely.
So we're very much considering, my wife and I, schools and buses and teachers and quality of life for our kids in the schools. That's important to us.
Those are the deep dive conversations that we have with our clients. Knowing your wants versus your needs, right?
So your deep dive was into that. We'll talk about developments in Greene County as a whole. We do have some approved sites that are, and that is some of the
About
pushback.
1,800 lots.
Right, and some of those, and quite frankly, I did go get some notes together. You know, most of these are all Ruckersville.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Wood Park. That was 600 homes that it was just rezoned from senior residential with a portion of senior residential emphasis, which is going to be,
So that would be targeted.
that would be targeted, and that will be on the east side of Ruckersville on 33, for those who don't know. There's Creekside, which is on the Pretty Creek Road portion that, back behind Sheets. You know, there are some other entrances that are going to be put into there
Yeah.
to alleviate some of the traffic. But, you know, that is 850 homes. Now, that is detached and attached. That was done back in 2013.
Yeah, they should be coming out of the ground
It will,
this time
and it
next
is. So
year.
these things are what's good. This is what I would say has been the hold
Right.
from the '08. Things happen, the markets get hot enough that the developers finally see the reason to move. Anyway, I'm going through a bunch of these, you know, but what is important, I think, that kind of in the same thing that we just talked about in Standardsville, there have been very, very few sites that have been rezoned that were not already some type of residential zoning from, and here's the thing, from the 70s, from the 80s. These are old zonings, right? They are bigger lots. They require things. So the particular one that you're talking to, and if you look around in almost any community, no one is going with a lot of the older zonings. Part of that is because maybe it's a mixed use. PUD is what allows for some of these things. But it will allow for, in some cases, some retail, some things that offset some of the housing.
Pricing.
But it's also cleaner. It helps us to cluster homes so we can have more open space. So you can still have the feeling of being in a rural area without it just being bulldozed over, houses just being popped up, one every 2 weeks or 3 weeks. I also wanted to point out that during the 05-04, Greene County was extremely hot at that time. There was a lot of optimism about the direction of the county. We were working on a new sewer plant going back to the early 2000s. We were trying to figure out how to pay for those things. And we were just like many developers. Greene County made a point to say we need to work on infrastructure. One is because our infrastructure was old, but also
who pays for the infrastructure?
The infrastructure.
Local tax dollars?
Yeah,
No,
the
the
developer.
You're talking proffers?
Well, proffers can be something that they come in and say, hey, we'll pay for this, or we'll pay for that, or we will donate this.
Well, back in those days, the proffer law was different.
Right.
County-
Slush
It was called a legal bribe.
It was.
Well, Matthew Woodson.
But not back,
Matthew
but
Woodson.
no, it is what it is.
It was a
Okay?
bribe that was allowed by law.
Correct.
Now it has to be freely given.
Now it has to be freely given. And I think most people get that. But in a lot of these projects that are being looked at or have been approved, and sometimes it's not, is this good or bad for the community? In a lot of cases, I think it's good. And there are folks that, certainly in my community, that think that it's bad.
I disagree.
However, at the end of the day, I think I've been involved in this for a long time. It's not what is behind the next door. It's behind door number 3 and door number 4. I've watched this comprehensive plan after comprehensive plan to say this is where we want to go. And it seems like nationally, not just in Louisa and in Fluvanna, you and I get to talk about this often. There seems to be an emotional piece of this that data doesn't cover. Right?
So I talk
And
about this around the country in every
it is
jurisdiction.
it's emotional for folks, and I get it. If someone who was born and
Emotional
raised
or
in
nostalgic?
Greene, and I still live in a rural area, and I would be the first, and I'm sure I'll get some blowback.
You want
here.
God's country.
I don't want houses in my
That's
backyard
what y'all call it.
either, right? But
But you
these
do want them
are-
in the growth,
But
designated
I
growth
want them in
areas.
the growth areas. I want to see the town be vibrant. I want to see Ruckersville be vibrant. We are a small landmass county. We, as anyone's ever heard me speak before in public, we don't have a airport. We don't have a waterway. We don't have, we have tourism. We have mountains that are never going to go away. It's not a big business that's going to go away.
But you're also a bedroom community.
We are a bedroom community who is striving. I think any board member would tell you that we are striving to become not a bedroom community. We would like to have the education for the jobs that we see coming. You mentioned some earlier from Mr. Manning these are high-tech good jobs. But also with all these high-tech good jobs come more expensive housing because our area becomes higher income.
So, Lisa, one of the reasons I was excited about talking to you guys today, and I've been said this publicly for a long time, for at least this last year, I used to think Zion's Crossroad was going to be the next growth area, but it's Greene.
Greene County is the next Crozet.
You have roughly 1,800 lots platted, ready to go. They're in the process of getting developed and built. And as a long-term resident and a born there, how do you feel about that process?
Seeing Greene start to grow, I'm excited about it. I want to see it grow. I mean, who doesn't want better education? Who doesn't want more infrastructure? Who doesn't
Water.
want more commercial opportunities in the area besides just Ruckersville, right? Grow the entire county.
So,
I would say, I would back up, just not to say the entire county. Our comprehensive plan says that we want to grow along the 29 corridor. And it says that we want to grow in our county seat, where our schools are, where our court system is,
Yes.
where our, it's where the day-to-day happenings are. And quite frankly, as someone who has lived there, to watch what has happened there over the years, and I'm not saying it's all bad. We have also had I don't want to say robust, it's been slow and steady, but a revitalization project for the town of Sandersville that has helped
Slowly.
It is slow. It's been
Slow.
Streetscapes project was-
17 years that has had very little. We see things on social media and things. I mean, there has been very, very little money put in by the localities. It's mostly donated from citizens and then matched by VDOT to help improve our townscapes, building renovations. There's been a lot of things that we've tried to get the town to be revitalized, and part of that was a little bit, for me, and I have a job. I'm not a developer. My job here was I represent the property owners.
So
in
let's be
this-
specific. We're talking about a project by the
in Standardsville.
in Standardsville. So let's put some specifics to it.
Mm-hmm.
It actually was approved in the town of Standardsville, which they can do 120 townhomes.
That's correct.
It was not approved
In the county.
In the county,
Because
so it
it's
was
a
one
split.
project that was split into two pieces.
Because the town is incorporated, so other people know, they have a different ordinance than the county. So this
Correct, they
this
have a
went from the
different board.
town and comes into the county.
So let's pick this apart a little bit here. So that particular piece of property is a unique piece of property. I want to tie it to Jerry's infrastructure comment here in a minute, where I think the county missed a great opportunity. Right now, within a 6-county jurisdiction, the only by right piece of property that you can get 500 lots built on it is this parcel in Greene County.
I know.
Every other, because of this 1970s,
I know.
80s ordinance, and because it's in the growth area, right? So what has happened, because of the county rejected that, they're still going to get the same number of units, but the proffers that the developer did, they were
Developers.
going to build an entrance on 33. They were going to upgrade the water
Oh, wait,
system.
hold on.
What?
We need to go to the,
We're on the way.
Sorry.
Yeah, you gotta make sure
I
you
shoulda
tell
gave-
Judy,
I
yeah.
should have gave enough of a
Yeah.
thing. This is
Oh, the
Smith playing
seats.
with his toys.
make sure.
Move the camera.
Playing with his toys. Okay, Smith's playing with his toys. So this is a balance. This balance right now is 500 lots, right? The right-hand side is by right. The left-hand side, depending on how you're looking at it on the screen, is what the developer was going to do. So back to Jerry's comment about infrastructure. So the developer proffered to build an entrance on 33. The builder developed to upgrade the water and sewer system to solve, at no cost to the county, to solve the pressure problems, because they don't have a capacity problem, they have a pressure problem they have to do. The developer proffered to build a new pump station to benefit the town, right? The developer proffered in a park that was going to be dedicated to the county. The developer proffered, what else did I miss in here? Oh, that they were going to build certain amount of homes at a certain price point. The price escapes me at the moment in that. And the problem with that is all of that went away, and the county now gets to pay for all that. Because now, if the county wants a new entrance, the developer's going to charge them.
But what you're missing on that scale is what the populace wants.
That's it.
So
And
that's
the
very
populace of Greene
That's
County
it.
is electing people into office that don't want these projects.
So let's define populace. There was 22 people that showed up.
But showing up is different than who
Seven-
you elect into office.
Okay, so
True,
but
I agree.
I agree with that,
I
and that's
agree.
fine.
Just
and I,
because you show up doesn't mean that's not what the community wants. It's who you vote for.
so I am.
The voters said, I want this person in office, and this person is voting based on the people who voted him or her
I agree
into office.
110%, and I support that.
It's
Defended
called
it.
democracy.
I got it, and I believe in it, and I defended our country to do that. But what I'm trying to explain is the people that voted against it didn't understand what I just explained, because what they believed.
They probably understood
They-
it.
I think
just
they
didn't-
definitely
they
I do think that they
understood
have a-
it. They just
Well,
have
I
a
believe
different
that there is a
perspective on the growth
different-
of the community.
There it is.
Yeah.
She just said what it is. And it's just unfortunate, and it's not what you necessarily want to hear. It's just the folks understood what you're saying here. It's
well,
they voted based on the people that voted them
So
into office.
I'm going to push back on that because what they were saying in the public comments was that no development was going to get built. That's what they were saying. And I want everybody to understand there will be a development built there. There will be 500 homes there. There will be 120 townhomes. The only difference is the county is going to pay for any improvements from this point forward. And if everybody's kosher with that, then that's great. The system worked. But I can assure you, Jerry, because I was in the room at the time, the people did not know. They believed that if this was not approved,
That it'll go away.
it would go away. Is that is that a fair statement?
I should probably say, and this is a, you know.
You got a lot of
this
people
hasn't-
watching you guys here, just to give you a heads
This
up.
didn't just start, you know, we had been entertaining, prior to this, we were looking at another development less than 18 months ago on that same property that would have been, and what did change that particular one wasn't needs, it wasn't costs, it was interest rates. Scared the buyer at the time, and they said, hey, we're going to back up. We're going to wait and see where this goes
So with this,
before we move forward. In the meantime, what I felt like was quite honestly was a better project than what we were probably looking at 18 months ago, and was excited for.
so we're 2 to 3 years out before a single house is available.
And I want to bring up a point of the 04, 5, 6. If we look back in that time frame for Greene County, and I hope that my data here is correct, during that time period, we did 2 what I would call major zonings, and that was for Holly Hill,
Yep.
which is built out. Everyone knows where that's right on
Right.
29, just at the southern portion of Greene County. And then, this is really probably one of the bigger pieces that I'd like to explain. That was because there was not infrastructure readily available. If you're going back to say 03, 04, we did those because we had the new sewer systems, and that's how those things began. Before that, you had Hancock Farms. You have Octonia Highlands. You had Guilford Farms. You had, and what I'm going through here, just for those, I won't go through the whole litany of lists of things. All of those were A1 by right.
So that's the difference.
And that's
here.
the ticket. So
Yeah.
what happens is these clustering of homes in the designated growth areas that we hope to direct housing. By the way, housing is going to happen. It's just how do you want it and where do you want it and how do you plan for it?
But this specific.
But in that case, I want to go back to those. Only today, it's 2023, there are still leftover lots in Hancock
Sure,
Farm.
sure.
There are still leftover lots in, only now are we seeing a few of those being built on because the market's changed. But my point was, we don't have a crystal ball. You could start this and be done in 3 years and something happens and
God only knows.
I'm not being a Debbie Downer here, but it is.
But I
something
wanted
that
to
a
stay
developer has to
factual,
think of.
right?
Yeah,
So,
sure.
so most rezonings, right, if they don't get their density, they don't get the PUD, it goes back to like 5 lots, right, in most of our jurisdictions. In this case,
Greene County.
except for Greene County. In Greene County, and it's a unique zoning that is not seen around this region, that the fact that the PUD failed did not remove the fact there's going to be 500
That we
houses.
have what is one of the most liberal A1
Unbelievable.
division. And I'm not, by the way, I can see people jumping up and down right now because the folks that typically don't want to see growth typically don't want to see it in the rural area, right? But what we're going to do is by not approving these things in the places that we want to see
rural areas and
direction to
stuff.
go, the developers have nowhere to go. But
You're
to buy
seeing
the
that in my
farms-
county?
To buy the farms in the
You're talking
rural area,
sprawl.
It's called sprawl.
Yeah.
And that is what we had seen up until we really started working our comprehensive plan. Greene County needs to decide what it wants to
Well,
be, because our comprehensive plan says we want tourism. It says we want growth in designated areas.
Employers and
We want
jobs.
employment and jobs.
Yeah.
And employment and jobs don't come without the right education, which our schools try to work with as far as what's going to be in our areas and things like that. But
I think what concerns me the most about this, they're going to get the houses and none of
without
the benefit. None of
any of the
benefit.
direction. Yeah,
None
I
of the
agree.
benefit,
I
none
agree.
of the
Well, what
upgrades.
can come out of this is the value of voting. the value of standing
There
up
you go.
and truly understanding where your money is going,
There you go.
and not just sitting back and saying, I can afford to sit back and not vote.
Elections matter.
Elections matter, and that green is going to change. And there is a strong voice that wants to see all this new development in rural areas as well. And the not in my neighborhood is going to be pushed out. It's going to be pushed out. Is it going to be pushed out over time? 100%. There
So
are
back to
going to be
that math.
stronger voices coming forward for the Greene County they want to see.
Well, elections matter.
Elections matter, and we
contest-
can agree to disagree because some of those older voices are
No.
going to be pushed out.
Well, I don't want to say they're being pushed
That's
out,
my
because, by the way,
crystal ball.
I would go
That's
back,
great.
we
Why
both
are you
from
guys
there. So
looking
I
at
have
me with the older
family,
voices
family
thing?
and friends that we, by the way, we still all get along.
Yeah.
I don't know why we can't on social media and things, because,
Yeah,
I
I
I still have to
that.
go to meetings with people who disagree with me adamantly, but we're still friends. We still
We
talk.
should be,
We
because
have-
we're adults.
Right.
Because we're adults.
So, that's probably the most disheartening piece of it is, I have a job to do, but at the same time, I like friends.
Yeah.
And being
I like
able to
friends
go
too.
into Walmart and Ruckersville or Lowe's without feeling like you have to duck around the corner. But
It just was an opportunity to get the infrastructure fixed in Greene
Sure.
County, and
Yeah.
it was missed.
You see it, you understand it, and
Yeah.
there are other ones that's sitting on the side to say, wow, this was a mistake, and we have to correct it. And how are we going to correct it? Who we put in office.
Elections
Get
matter.
up, be active.
It was
Don't sit
interesting.
There
back
are,
and
by the
complain
way, a
about
lot,
it,
and
because
what-
complaining
keep
about it
saying-
does absolutely nothing. Get up, show up, and vote.
There are things that, like in our jobs, that we can't talk. There are some really, that's not housing, right? But there are some really exciting things that are coming to Greene County.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, talk about that. What's exciting?
Well, some of them I can't talk
Got
about.
it.
But to go
I
back
tried.
to
That's
Lee-
right there.
Ask
I
Lisa's
tried.
point, it's an exciting time. I mean, I just think that as a county, we need, our elected officials probably need to talk more. Make sure we're all getting the same information. I think that sometimes is a bit discouraging. I know them all.
It's called
I
boots
do
on the
consider
ground.
them all friends. But unfortunately, we all find ourselves in these corners, and no one's talking to each other, and that's the sad commentary about where we might be currently. And I hope that we can get past that. I hope.
But that's
that-
what we do well. We do well connecting
You guys are
people.
connectors.
We connect
Yeah.
people. That's
Connectors,
exactly what
negotiating.
we do.
Yeah. You're the nexus of information, realtors. I mean, in Greene County, I think you guys are going to explode. I mean, you got Rivanna Station in Albemarle County allocating $58 million for 462 acres on the Greene County, Albemarle County
basically
line.
shut you down. That's what it said. Greene
I mean-
County, we're going to shut you down. It's
You're going to send all the government people, all the spies, all these six-figure jobs
Yes.
to literally on your line. You got Albemarle County in the last Board of Supervisors meeting that literally said, we're not going to expand the development area.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to keep it at 5%. We're not going to expand it. That's another tailwind for Greene County. You got 8,000 people moving here, another tailwind for Greene County. You got government, you got UVA, you got data, and you got Albemarle County happening development, and it's the county adjacent to Greene. You guys are going to blow up.
So how long does
And
it
it's
take
not
you?
always, I'm sorry, and it's not always going to be those who want to go slow. That's why I said, get out there, show up, let your voices be heard, because the county is changing whether they want it or not. It's happening.
Well, you would hope.
Totally agree
but,
with
but
that.
you would hope that you could look at the comprehensive plan and go, this is the direction, this is what I agree with. But the problem is.
The problem is
we're
the
not-
individ-
we're not
some of the
really following
individuals-
our
So the numbers
comprehensive
are
plan.
going to shake out this way. You've got about 1,800, there's going to be another 500, so you're about 2,300 new homes going to come up. Jerry, spot on. We're going to have a bunch of six-figure jobs come. This particular project.
You guys got the housing, and the people are going to come to Greene because Almore doesn't have the housing.
That's exactly-
Charlottesville doesn't have the housing.
Fluvanna
Fluvanna doesn't have the
Louisa
housing.
is now on that
Louisa's
train.
trying to figure out the housing. It's coming to Greene. Greene
Well-
We
County.
already
and
see
So the
that. We
balance-
already see
the
that with
balance will
our
be-
buyers,
But they're
yeah.
going to be top-ticket sales prices.
a decade from now, Greene County's makeup or its demographic is going to be completely different.
Well,
And
we
we have
already
a
see
different-
that. We already see the
And we
demographics
see it
changing.
different every day, right, of the people we're encountering. And it may not be for, Joe Citizen who doesn't see these things and emotionally they don't
Right,
want to
right,
see.
that's it. It's that
I moved here
psychological shift.
15 years ago
Yeah.
and I don't want to see that field next door that's owned by Mr. Smith to turn into that. But,
I do not own that property
it's by,
tonight.
but it's by right for, even if it's A1, he can still do, we were talking
A lot.
quickly zoning and maybe Greene County citizens don't know this, but our zoning ordinance changed in the year 2000.
Yeah.
99, 2000. So anything prior to that, your property rights are what your property rights were. Moving forward, there were lots of
Right.
Steve Ripley says the quote of the day so far was Woodson with, "I like friends." I like friends too. Steve Ripley giving him some props. We'll highlight some of the viewers and listeners. You guys had a counselor in Charlottesville, 2 boards of supervisors in Albemarle. You had a planning commissioner in Albemarle. You had a couple of electeds in Greene watching the program, a delegate watching the program. Kenny Gilbert giving you props. Julie Ballard loves the discussion. Evan Mitchell, Tracy James Morris, Debbie Harris giving the viewers and listeners some props. S. Lisa Herndon's page. She's a very popular lady. She's got a lot of people giving
She's
her
the
props.
president.
Tracy Faulkner, MBSLIQ Scott. I think some of your family watching. Is it Allie Herndon? Family
That's my
yours?
daughter, yeah.
Your daughter giving you props and throwing you the heart emoji right there. Bill McChesney watching. 2 TV stations watching, one of the local newspapers watching, one of the local radio stations watching. Julie says this is fantastic discussion, especially with the election right around the corner in Greene County.
There you go.
Thank you
There
very
you
much
go.
for this. Neil Williamson, slinging content. He says this: Greene County's entire county is designated a defense production zone. The defense production zone designation allows anything from research and development to producing a defense-related product to the supply chain, said Alan Yost, Greene County's Director of Economic Development and Tourism. Yost said that the state code allows localities to zone an entire county as a defense production zone versus only a section of a county, and that's what Yost asked the supervisors to consider.
It's coming.
Greene
It's
County is...
coming. It's coming.
That was, I wanted to throw that in because we're talking housing, and certainly one of my passions is the economic growth of Greene County. And what we've seen over the last few years, one, I love going into Lowe's. I could spend an entire Saturday in Tractor Supply, these are the things that we've seen
I
that
caught
I
you
know
on
people
your
like.
backhoe the other day.
Yeah, it could be much better, as we're going forward. But you brought up, Neil did, Alan Yost. And that is part of, with people come, we want jobs. We want some offset. That is what Greene County set out to do 20 years ago, was to not become a bedroom community of Charlottesville. You're always going to be somewhat, but we want job growth.
it sounds like Greene County to me better start focusing on some schools.
Yeah.
Well, and
the school
improvement is-
that's not going away,
yeah.
and we
You
better
all have
start-
improved schools dramatically, but you're getting to the tipping
The
scale
growth,
here.
Yeah, the growth is real.
And again, this was an opportunity to have.
So let's talk about that for a second. You can throw numbers. I'd rather you almost throw numbers. How much is a water a reservoir? I'm sorry, in pound.
Oh.
What's the number now?
Well, it was
It
10
was-
million.
And then it was 40 million.
Then it was
and
40 million.
60
Yeah.
million.
Well, they just lost 10 million.
So it went to 80 million,
Yeah.
and who knows? It's somewhere probably between 80 and 100 million.
But this rezoning of this PUD, there was an opportunity to have a discussion to
Yeah.
throw some money at the school, and that never
Well,
came up.
Yeah, and
They
I'm still
just wanted it
looking
rejected.
though. Aside from that, is to look at the long term for direction. Is that we want to see that economic stuff happen to offset the fact that we are going to need a school in Ruckersville.
Like tomorrow.
Like tomorrow.
Yeah.
That is not so. And
But we've
and
known
listen,
that
I
for
don't
a
even know that
while.
we've looked at that. What is that
Yeah.
today? 60 million?
That's
Throw a
low.
number. Throw a number. Somebody write in and
put it
say
in
what that
perspective
number
for you.
is.
Buford did a school reconfiguration. This isn't even a newly constructed school. It's essentially remodeling a school. That was $82 million.
Fulvana,
So
We
remodel
just
a
did a
school.
remodel for 2 schools.
Fulvana built a brand new high school 12 to 15 years
60
ago. No, 72 million.
And how are they paying for it?
They're still paying for it.
Would be my tax dollars.
Yeah, they're still paying for it.
Because they didn't work on water.
90+%
The weeds back
of
in the day.
Fluvanna County is funded by rooftops.
Yes.
It's 95, 96%.
And that is what we are not. I mean, so as real estate agents, I should say, or someone who lives in Greene County, it's not all about housing. It is about the bigger plan.
But we also
For us,
determined
I mean,
20% of everybody's economy is
Yes.
is housing.
You guys, this was fire. I mean, we should do this again. You guys are amazing. I mean, this is a fantastic panel. We're at 11:30.
Yep.
I want to get some closing thoughts here. So my colleague over here is not scrambling for the next show. There's always the person behind the scenes that is, doing a lot of the heavy lifting that we got to be mindful of. So,
I'll lose back
ladies
to
first,
John.
S. Lisa Herndon, the show is yours. Closing thoughts, any commentary you want to offer? The boatload of people watching you here.
Change is difficult. And when I think about Greene, I think about change, and I think about the people who've lived there all their lives. And they're comfortable where they are. But change is coming, and those who want a different direction need to show up and vote, because voting matters. And that's how you bring about the change that you want to see in the growth of Greene.
Well said.
Matthew.
Mr.
To
Woodson.
me,
Yes, sir. Show is yours, sir.
you took all my words.
Oh,
No,
I'm
just
sorry, I took
kidding.
all your words.
We just talked about growth, and I'd like to call it smart growth. I'd like to see, the plan work. We talked earlier about using quality of life. I hope for Greene County, whatever direction we decide to go. Right now we've been mapping out a direction for 15 years. We've just decided apparently that that's not where we want to go all of a sudden. But I typically try to follow through on the plans, and that's what I plan to continue to do, and hopefully bring quality of life to every citizen of Greene County, not just the people who need housing or whatever their reason for coming to Greene County is.
And I'd like to say, I was speaking with someone this weekend who gave me an earful about the diversity in Greene. And I said, you can't tell me about the diversity in Greene. I was born and raised there.
Are they saying the lack thereof? Is that what they were saying?
Yes.
Okay.
And I was like, but that does not take away the fact that it is hardworking, beautiful, spirited people, and the county demographics is changing. The color of Greene is changing.
But we have to be
So-
respectful for the people that are here, that people that
Absolutely.
oppose this project
Yes.
that I went through,
Yes.
because I wanted to do that as an
Uh-huh.
explanation. To Jerry's point, we have to be respectful for their wishes. All I was trying to do was
Oh, yeah.
point out the facts that
Yeah.
what's going to happen,
Right,
unfortunately.
right. It's still going to get built.
It's still gonna get
But
built,
it's
yeah.
going to cost the citizens more.
Unfortunately.
Where there was a developer that could have eaten some of those costs.
Oh,
So,
substantial.
But there again, my point, voting matters, right? Show up. Let your voices be heard. Don't let the Board of Supervisors room be empty. Show up and speak.
So thank you, guys. We're past
You guys are amazing.
11:30, and
This
these
was
guys,
fantastic.
these guys worked their tails off to make this happen. So thank you, Judith. Thank you, Jerry, for making this happen. Thank you, you guys, for showing up. Yous guys for showing
Yous
up
guys.
and talking about Greene County. Look,
Well, I hope we can come back soon to tell you about the
Oh, you
exciting
totally should
stuff
come back. This
that
was
is
a
coming to
dynamic
Ruckersville. I tried to put a
I was
seed.
kind of thinking.
I tried to put a
S.
seed in there.
I'll be honest with you. I was thinking S. Lisa's welcome. I don't know about you.
Oh, Woodson's always welcome.
I'll tell her when the
Well,
time
let me
is
put
right.
it.
She
Let me
can
put
tell
it this
you.
way.
You'll be my guest. You'll be my guest.
I'm gonna make sure S.
You'll be my
Lisa's sitting
plus
closer to
one.
me because she's a lot nicer. Anyway, so guys, thank you very
The
much.
show was fantastic.
Thank
I mean,
you.
it was absolutely fantastic, extremely well watched. The pros here, guys. And I want to correct something. The current president of Charlottesville Area Association of Realtors, right here, S. Lisa Herndon, ladies and gentlemen. Matthew Woodson, Keith Smith, Real Talk with Keith Smith, show archived at realtalkwithkeithsmith.com. Woodson's really trying hard to talk again over here. Do you see it? He's like chomping at the bit
He's
over
closing.
here.
He's
All right,
closing.
he's
Let him
chomping at
close.
the bit to talk. We really
done.
got to stop
Let
because
him
we have to
close.
get ready for the next show.
I do have that look.
We got, I know.
Look over
Real Talk with Keith Smith. You see what we're trying to do? We're just trying to have conversations like around a water cooler and just keep it respectful. We can agree to disagree. That's what this is all about. Woodson's really trying to talk right now. Judah Wickhauer is the director. That's all she wrote. The next show is up, guys, in 54 minutes, so we're really scrambling here. Thank you kindly for joining us. Take care, everybody. The show was excellent. He's going to tell us when the microphones and the cameras are off. We're going to be off here in a minute.